Hello everyone, welcome to the class of web technology. Let us discuss about XHTML 2.0 and what WG. So in the year 2000, XHTML 2.0 was proposed in order to overcome the drawbacks of HTML and XHTML 1.0. At the same time, a group of developers at Opera and Mozilla, they formed a group called WhatWG, Web Hypertext Application Technology Working Group. So this group was not convinced with the W3's embrace of XML. So this led to HTML5. By 2009, the W3C stopped work on XHTML 2.0 and instead they adopted the work done by WhatWG and named it as HTML5. So HTML5 aim is specify unambiguously how browsers should deal with the invalid markup. Also, it provides an open non-proprietary programming framework for creating web applications. Let us see HTML5 support in browsers. Nowadays, almost all of the browsers support HTML5. HTML5 is now a living language, I can tell. It is a language that evolves and develops over time. So look at the figure. Almost all browsers will support HTML5 and here there is partial support and 1% we can say there is no HTML5 support by the browsers. So to create the web pages, let us learn the syntax of HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, so it is used for creating the web pages, and HTML document mainly describes the structure of a web page. So HTML document consists of series of elements. These elements actually tell your browser how to display the content. So your HTML document will be composed of HTML element as well as textual element. Text also will be there. And a HTML element can contain text, other elements, or it can be empty. Empty means there is no text or content. HTML elements can also contain attributes. That is another thing. So an HTML attribute is in this form, syntax. Name means attribute name is equal to value. So this will provide the information about the HTML element. So one difference is in XHTML, the attribute values need to be enclosed in quotes. But in HTML5, it's not mandatory. Just look at the example. You have the A tag, which is the element I can tell of HTML. href is the attribute name is equal to, this is the value in double quotes. Then central park is the content and then your tag is being closed. Now example for empty element, you have img tag, image tag. Okay, so here there is no content. This src is attribute name equal to value. So there is no content. So it's called empty element. Nesting HTML elements. So one HTML element is contained in another HTML element. So the container element is said to be a parent and the contained element can be called as child element. So any elements contained within the child, they are said to be descendants of the parent. Likewise, any given child element may have a variety of ancestors also. Look at the figure, you will get to know here. This is the family tree. So it begins with body tag, which is the parent tag. Under that you have child tag, p tag. Under p tag you have strong tag, then h1 tag, div tag. All these are the children, I can tell. And then under div tag you have p tag. So again descendants these are. And for I can tell for div tag, h1 tag, p tag, body tag is the ancestor tag. Still more clear, you can see here body tag is the parent tag. Under that you have the children tags, p tag, h1 tag, div tag. These are siblings also, you can tell. Under div, so for under the body you have one descendant div tag. Under div again one more descendant p tag. Under p tag one more descendant span tag. And when I consider span tag, the ancestor is p tag. And for p tag the ancestor is div tag. Like that it goes on. So another thing is, while nesting you have to do it properly. So proper nesting is very important. A child's ending tag must always occur before its parent tag. So you can see here correct nesting format. First is H1 tag, that is the parent tag, then strong tag, that is the child tag. So first child tag should be ended, yeah, and then you have to close the parent tag. Here incorrect nesting, you can see H1 tag is parent tag, strong tag is the child tag. You are closing the parent tag. This is incorrect nesting. What HTML lets you do? Many things you can do with the HTML. I cannot explain in one slide, but just some points I can highlight is you can insert image, create links, create list, create headings, define the data type, metadata. Semantic markup, next topic. So first let us see the difference between HTML and CSS. HTML is used to design the structure for your document, whereas CSS is used to apply style for your document. So HTML is used to create semantic markup, I can tell. What do you mean by semantic markup? Actual dictionary meaning of semantic is meaning. So semantic markup is a way of writing and structuring your HTML so that it mainly reinforces or highlights the meaning of the content rather than its appearance. If you want to go for the appearance, it will be CSS. Now, what are the advantages of semantic markup is, one is maintainability, easier to update and change the web pages, faster to download the web page, accessibility, even the user with the sight disability can also visit a web page using voice recording software. Search engine, very important. Semantic markup provides better instructions for search engines. Now we'll see the structure of your HTML document. So now the current version is HTML5. We are studying that only. All your browsers support HTML5. So here you can just see one simple example. When you notice the first line is doc type HTML, head tag, title tag, and then it is closed, head tag, HTML tag. So look at the output, welcome. Welcome is nothing but this H1, heading tag is being displayed. The content is being displayed. So we'll begin with title tag. Okay, it is used to define the title for your HTML document. So title, my web page is the title. So where it is, here it appears. So it appears on the browser's toolbar, not on the browser window. Remember, title tag. Doc type, you can see. Doc type means document type declaration. So now this is the first line of declaration. It's not a HTML tag, keep in mind, and it is not case sensitive also. So this line must be there. So it's mandatory. Usually earlier when the HTML was developed, it was mandatory, but now currently if you don't include this line also, it works. So now I can tell it is optional, but earlier you must write this line. And also one more thing I can tell, earlier, that is before HTML5, HTML4 all, you had to write this much big line, doc type HTML public. See, you need to remember this much big line of code. So it was very complicated, but now everything has been easy, just typing doc type HTML, but that also is not necessary. Okay, thank you. Welcome to the class of web technology. Let us discuss about the HTML head and body section. So HTML element is actually called the root element. So HTML element in a document is called as the root element as it contains all other HTML elements in the document. So now you can look at this example. First line of declaration is doc type HTML. Next you have the HTML element, or we call HTML tag. Then you have the head tag, then title tag. So title tag is closed here, then head tag is closed here. So HTML element is actually called as the root element. This is the root element. So under this you will have a number of other HTML elements. So now you have body tag, under that H1 tag. So body tag is closed, and finally the root element is closed. So let us discuss about the head and body. So your HTML document is actually divided into two sections. One is the head, another one is the body. So in this example, you can see here you have head section and the one is the body section. So in this head section, it contains descriptive elements, like it can include titles. You can set the titles. Then also you can specify the style sheets or like CSS, cascading style sheets. Also you can embed JavaScripts in it. Also it can include some meta information, nothing but the metadata. So metadata is data that describes data. The body actually contains the textual content as well as HTML elements. So that will be here. You can see this is the body element. So whatever you write inside this body tag, that content will be actually displayed onto the web page by your browser. So another one same example we are going to see. First line of declaration is doc type HTML. Then you have the root element HTML tag. Then next head tag, and you have lang. Lang is the attribute name. So here actually you're going to set the primary language for your HTML document as a 2-letter code, that is EN, indicates English. Next you have the meta tag. I said that head tag can include metadata also. So char set is actually the attribute name. So it specifies the character encoding for your document. So here it actually specifies the character encoding standard, that is here UTF-8. Earlier you have your ASCII, now it is UTF-8. So here after that you have the title tag, you know that one, and then link tag. So link tag is actually to link your document to the external resource. So here you are specifying rel, that is it is actually defining the relation between the current document and the external resource. So here it is indicating it is a style sheet because I'm trying to link to CSS. That's why I'm indicating it as style sheet. Now href. So here URL I'm specifying. So you have CSS bar main.css. Main.css is actually the file name of your CSS, and it is located under this CSS folder. You can also embed a script tag. So you can see here we have used the script tag. src is the source. So here js bar html5 shiv.js. So again .js means it is the extension for your JavaScript file. Now in the body tag you have used h1 tag, and then you have closed the body tag. So again one more example we'll see. You have the body tag, h1 tag, h2 tag, and p tag, that is a paragraph tag we call. Then we have the img, image tag, then div tag, division tag, again paragraph tag. So here you can see the output, actually how your web page appears. First line you can see share your travels, that is h1 heading. h2 heading is New York Central Park. You can see here, look at the difference there. And then you have an image img, so that image is being embedded here onto your web page. In detail we'll study one by one. Headings. So HTML headings are titles actually, or subtitles you can tell, that will actually be displayed on your web page. So it is different from title tag. HTML headings are defined from h1 to h6. So h1 tag will be having highest importance, whereas h6 will be having the least importance. So headings are actually easier for the readers to structure the document. So here in this example you can see that you have the HTML tag, head tag, then title tag, then we have specified the headings h1, h2, h3, h4, h5, h6. Now look at the output. h1 tag, so it is having highest importance, so look at the font size, it's highest. Next h2, h3, h4, h5, h6 is least important. Now same thing, same example, look at the heading, share your travels here, and in this web page you get red color, italics. Here it is embedded in a box. Here you have another form. So all these are actually styling. So this can be done by CSS. So always choose the heading level which is appropriate. Okay. So specify a heading level that is semantically accurate. So do not choose a heading level because of its default presentation. Next, paragraph tag, I've told you how to use p tag. So they are actually the basic unit of text in an HTML document. So p tag is like a container and it can contain HTML and other inline HTML elements also. Inline HTML elements, actually they refer to HTML elements that do not cause a paragraph break, but they are part of the regular flow of the text. So you can notice here in the example, you had in this paragraph tag, you had a tag. So in this a tag, after the a tag, you had the strong tag, correct? So these are inline HTML elements. They do not disrupt the flow of your text. Next, divisions. So division tag, this is a very important tag because almost while designing you will use this tag everywhere. Highest is use this div tag. So div tag actually defines a section or division in your HTML document, I can tell. So it is like a container for HTML elements and it is like grouping the objects or grouping the contents in one particular section. So it can be styled using the CSS. Next, links. So I've told that links are created using the A tag. A stands for anchor here. So you can link from one web page to another. So usually there are two parts of a link. First you can see the destination. So A tag you're specifying href attribute. So this is actually the destination, HTTP. So you're going to link your document to this site. Okay, and here you're specifying the label. That is the other part of the link. First one is destination, second one is label. So label is nothing but the text. Now there are several uses of these links. So you are creating links using a tag. So you can link to external sites like you can move to images or link to movies on an external site. You can create link to other pages or resources within the current site. That also can be done. You can link to other places within the current page. You can link to particular locations on another page. All those things can be done. There is a simple example here. You can notice that ahref http www.centralpark.com. This is actually linking to one different site. Now ahref is equal to http www.centralpark.com/logo.gif. So you are linking to a particular resource on that external site. What is the resource? This might be an image, GIF. Okay. Next, ahref is equal to index.html. So this is one file or this is one web page, I can tell. So you are linking to another page on same site as this page. Okay. So there are several things you can go through it in detail. Now we'll see URL absolute referencing. See, when referencing a page or a resource on an external site, you have to use absolute referencing. So how to specify it? First you have to specify the protocol. See, just look here. For example, img. So image tag, you're taking the source. So first you have to actually you are taking the source, linking to external site. So what you have to do is you have to specify the protocol first here. HTTPS then colon www.w3schools.com is actually domain name. Then any path is there, and then finally file name. So file name is picture.jpg. This is actually our image, but it's there inside the images folder. So you have to specify the absolute path. Now relative referencing is when actually your file is relative to the current page. Means it is referencing files within your site. Okay. Then you can go for relative referencing. So for example, you can see img src is equal to, you are not linking to any other site, your site only. So directly, if you want to point to a file in the images folder located at the root of your current web, then you have to give /images/picture.jpg. It indicates it's located at the root of the current web. Now here you don't have /image, directly images/picture.jpg means it is located under this folder, images folder, current folder. So actually the path name tells the browser where to locate the file on the server. So again a detailed example is given. You can see here you have the root folder, under that index.html, about.html, example.html. Now under this root folder you have images folder, same thing you have CSS folder, members folder. So few things I'll describe now. You can just see here a tag href is equal to example.html, directly the web page name, isn't it? So you are linking to a file within the same folder, I can tell. Okay, so just use the file name. Now ahref images/logo.gif means you are linking to a file within a subdirectory. Now ahref is equal to css bar images bar background.gif. To link a file that is multiple subdirectories below the current one, we are using it. So it is in that way. Now inline text elements, I have told about it, they are not going to disrupt the flow of the text. So like that HTML defines 30 types of elements. So you have this a tag. Okay, a tag, it's for hyperlink. Hyperlink means you're creating a link from one page to another. Like that you have br tag, line break, moves to the next line. Then we have em tag for emphasizing that particular text. Small means actually it will print your text one size small than the fixed one. Okay, one size small than the fixed size of your text in the document. So how actually there is some size for your text in the web page. Now when I give small tag there, that word will appear one size lesser than the normal. Then strong means which is strongly important. Next, images. Image purpose, we are using img tag. So if you want to decorate the images all, you have to go for CSS styling. So you can see img tag source. So where exactly your image is, it's in this folder, image folder. Alt is equal to central park. See, alt is an alternate text. So just give a name. Means suppose if your image doesn't appear, then this alternate text will appear as central park. Title is equal to central park. Text in title attribute will be displayed in a pop-up tooltip whenever user moves the mouse over the image. Then width and height you are specifying. Now next, HTML list. See, HTML list actually allows the developers to group a set of related items in a list. So you have two types. One is ordered list, unordered list. We'll see ordered list. Collection of items that have a set order. So these are by default rendered by the browser as a numbered list, 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. So an ordered list starts with a OL tag. So each list item starts with a LI tag. So the list items will be marked with numbers by default, I've told. So here you can see we begin with the OL tag, ordered list, and each item element we are specifying with LI tag. Then we are closing the OL tag. So you can see numbered 1 coffee, 2 tea, 3 milk. Unordered list is, it starts with this tag UL tag. So each item list starts with the LI tag. The list items will be marked with bullets by default. So here you have the UL tag, unordered list tag. So each list item you are specifying with LI tag. So what do you get in bullet? Coffee, tea, milk. Thank you.